Shila Guru Premanande Hari Hari. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet nashta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki Kṛṣṇāya Vāsudevāya Devaki Nandanāya ca Nanda Gopa Kumarāya Govindāya Namo Namah. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji and Mataji. We welcome you all to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam study. So last week we discussed a very important pastime, passing away of Bhishma Dev. Srila Bhishma Dev left his body in the presence of Lord Shri Krishna. So, and it was said that Krishna evam Bhagavati manovag drishti vritti bhi Atmani Atmanam Aveshya Tato Anta Swasha Uparamat. So Anta Swasha Uparamat. So Bhishma Deva was so fortunate. When he was about to leave his body, he had Lord Krishna standing in front of him. And Mano, Vak and Drishti. His mind was fully focused on Krishna. His voice, from his voice, he was glorifying Krishna. And his eyes, he was constantly looking at Lord Krishna. And in doing that, he glorified Shri Krishna. And then he controlled Atmani, Atmanam, Aveshya. He controlled his breath and he controlled his vision. He controlled his concentration. And in that state of mind, in that state of his consciousness, then he inhaled the last breath. Yeah. So anta swasa param. So Bhishma Pitamaha left his body, and then Yudhishthira Maharaj felt very sad, and Lord Krishna was there, and then Yudhishthira Maharaj performed the last rites of Bhishma Pitamaha, and then all the demigods, they showered flower petals from the skies on Bhishma Pitamaha. He was a great devotee of Krishna. And then the rishis who had assembled there, Raja Rishi, Deva Rishi, Brahma Rishi, all the rishis, they started speaking the glories of Lord Shri Krishna. And then remembering that vision of Lord Shri Krishna, they also left that place. They left that place. Now Yudhishthira Maharaj and other Pandavas, they came to back to Hastinapur. This happened in the Kurukshetra battlefield. Now they all came back to Hastinapur. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj informed Dhritarashtra, his uncle, Gandhari, and other ladies. They informed them. They also felt very sad. And then Lord Krishna decided to stay back for some more time with the Pandavas to pacify Pandavas, who were his great devotees, and also Lord Krishna's sister Subhadra, who was married to Arjun. She was also in a very sad state because she had lost her son Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu was recently married, and his wife Uttara was pregnant. So Subhadra Mata, she was also feeling very sad. So Lord Krishna stayed back. And those of you who have Jagannath deities at home, so you know that Subhadra Maharani, she's sister of Lord Shri Krishna. So Lord Krishna stayed there in Hastinapur. And then today's chapter now, chapter number 10 of first canto. Now Lord Krishna departs. Lord Krishna, departure of Lord Krishna for Dvārakā. So this is the title of the chapter. And Dvārakā is where Lord Krishna, he moved from Mathura. So he was going to go back. Now this is today's chapter. Let's do Mangalacharan and then we will discuss this. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुर उन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितान्तं सजीवं सावधूतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता श्री राधा कांता नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। भूतेर्महद्भिर्यैमा पुरो विभो निर्मायशेते यदमोष पुरुषा भुङ्क्ते गुणान् षोडशात्मकम् सोऽलङ्कसृष्ट भगवान् वचांसि मे। श्रीकृष्ण शरणं शरणागतं कथा अमृतं सतत पीबतं भक्ति वेदांत मार्ग पंथनं सर्वलोक ऋषि देव जन्म प्रसन्नं सर्वलोक ऋषि देव जन्म प्रसन्नं। Hare Krishna. So, as like I said, today's chapter is departure, Lord Krishna's departure for Dvārakā. So this chapter, Prabhuji Mataji, 10th chapter, and the next chapter is titled Lord Krishna enters Dvārakā. So these two chapters are very important. And in one chapter, today's chapter, we will be discussing the Vipralamba, the separation of devotees from their beloved Supreme Lord. Because the Pandavas and the other residents of Hastinapur, they'll be feeling the separation from Shri Krishna. And then in the next chapter, we will study how the residents of Dvārakā will welcome Lord Shri Krishna when he comes back to Dvārakā after such a long time. Because Krishna had come to Hastinapur and he had joined Pandavas for the Mahabharata war at Kurukshetra. He was there. So he was there with them for a long time, and the Dvārakā residents were missing Krishna's association. But now Krishna is going to depart from Hastinapur. So let's try to see their mood, the mood of the residents of Hastinapur, how they're going to miss Lord Shri Krishna and what are their feelings, the feelings that they are going through. Another important factor is for us to feel the separation, first we have to feel the connection. And that is all what we all are trying to do. We are all trying to establish or re-establish that lost connection with Krishna or the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. But we can only do that if we understand or if we connect first. So, and how do we connect? The best way to connect is listening to the glories of the Supreme Lord. I mean, you all know in your family members, how do you connect with them? You discuss their pastimes. You discuss their activities. Pastimes are of the Supreme Lord. We all performing karmic activities. That's how we connect with each other, isn't it? We discuss, that person did that to me, that person did that good thing to me, that person did that not so good thing to me, and this is how we develop that connection. And the more we think, the more in depth you think, the more you analyze. What that means is, it is said that the love and the enmity both become stronger with more and more contemplation. The more you think about it, the stronger the relationship will be. Whether it's love relationship or whether it is hate relationship. In both the circumstances, the relationship strengthen, whether in the positive or the negative side. But the main point is the contemplation. So what had happened was, now Shaunakadi Rishi, they are asking question to Sut Goswami. So Shaunakaji Rishi now asked a question to Sut Goswami, and he asked that, now that Yudhishthira Maharaj hatva as in killing, after killing, hatva swa, now he had killed the Kauravas who were trying to usurp his rightful, you can say his rightful inheritance, because he inherited, Yudhishthira Maharaj was to be the king. So he says, Yudhishthiro dharma bhratam varishta, that Yudhishthira Maharaj, who is following the religion, the principles of religion, how sahanujai pratyavruddha bhojana, how did he enjoy? Yudhishthiro dharma bhratam varishta sahanujau pratyavruddha bhojana katham pravratta kimakarashi tata. So this is the question by Shaunakji to Sut Goswami. So he is asking to Sut Goswami that after Yudhishthira Maharaj became the king, and he had no interest with his brothers, they had no interest in enjoying the opulence of the kingdom. Now that they did not have any interest in enjoying the opulence of the kingdom, then how did he rule? Important question, How did he rule the kingdom? He must not, so, and they specifically asked that he must not have enjoyed without any restriction, Yudhishthira Maharaj. So how with his brothers he ruled the kingdom? And then Sut Goswami starts answering to this question, and he says, Vansham Kuror Vansha Davagni Nirhritam. Because he's saying the Kuru Vansh, because of the internal fighting. Because of the internal fighting, the Kuru Vansh had sort of been nirhritam, exhausted. When the Kuru Vansh had been exhausted, then he says, Sanyo Ritva Bhav Bhavano Hari, that Supreme Lord who creates this material, who's the responsible, or who creates this whole creation, this material creation, right? That Supreme Personality of Godhead. What did he do? He appointed Yudhishthira Maharaj the king of Swarajya Ishvaro, which was his rightful inheritance. So Lord Kṛṣṇa appointed him the king of his that kingdom, and at the same time he says, Preet Mana Babhuvaha. Yudhishtiram Preet Mana Babhuvaha. And after appointing him the king of Hastinapur, or the whole universe, or the whole country at that time, because it included all the dweeps, all the whole earth, you can say. And then after appointing, Lord Kṛṣṇa felt very pleased in his mind. Preet Mana Babhuvaha. So now a question might come that, why did Kṛṣṇa feel pleased about appointing Yudhishthira Maharaj the king? Was he doing any favoritism? Right? I mean, when Duryodhana was king, what was the wrong? The country was still running. Right? Why did he want to appoint Yudhishthira Maharaj as king? So the main important point here, Prabhuji Mataji, yes, the country was running. People were they were making their livelihood, but they were not following the religious principles. Dharma Bhratam, that's the word Sut Goswami has used here. Because Yudhishthira Maharaj was strongly following the religious principles. So that is why he was appointed as the king by Lord Shri Krishna. Because it is very important, if you can see around you, when we're trying to have the religious principles to be followed by the residents, if the state takes the ownership, if the king takes the ownership of ensuring, or he himself follows the religious principles, only then the residents of the country will follow. Otherwise, if the king doesn't follow, yatha raja tatha praja. As king, the population also does the same thing. Yeah. So that is why Lord Kṛṣṇa was following, because Yudhishthira Maharaj had taken shelter of the dharma. And that's what Bhishma Pitama told them. Dharma vipra dharma achyut ashraya. So he told Yudhishthira Maharaj in the last session discussed that when they were going through so many troubles, Yudhishthira Maharaj still he did not leave the path of religion. He remained steady on the path of religion. So that was the important thing. No matter the problems or happiness. So Yudhishthira Maharaj was tested in both the circumstances. He was tested when they had the problems, but he stayed steady on the path of religion. He's tested again now that he has been made the king. So he's again now following the path of religion. That is why Lord Kṛṣṇa felt pleased. Otherwise, Lord Kṛṣṇa does not do any partialism. He is same to everyone. Samoham sarva bhuteshu. Yeah? Lord Kṛṣṇa says in Bhagavad Gita that samoham sarva bhuteshu. I'm equal to everyone. Name dveshasti na priya. I don't dvesh anyone. I don't have enmity against anyone, and I don't have any special favor for everyone. But very importantly, he also says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam stathav bhajamya. How you surrender to me, I reciprocate in that. That is the condition there. But otherwise, he does not do any favoritism. So Lord Kṛṣṇa, Sut Goswami is saying, is Lord Kṛṣṇa felt very pleased by appointing Yudhishthira Maharaj as the king. And as he was appointed the king, then he says the actions of Yudhishthira Maharaj. He says yatha, as he had heard, yeah, nishamya bhishma oktam atha achyut oktam. Nishamya as in heard, as Yudhishthira Maharaj had heard from Bhishma Pitama on the battlefield that we discussed in the last chapter. Bhishma Pitama told Yudhishthira Maharaj about Raj Dharma, Istri Dharma, Kul Dharma, Varnashram Dharma, all the instructions that he had received from Bhishma Pitama, and also Achyut Oktam. Achyut is Lord Shri Krishna. As he was instructed by Lord Shri Krishna, and he started ruling. Sashas Gamindra. Yeah, Sashas Gam. Sashas as in he started ruling. Gam as in this earth. Indra as in the king. Like Indra is ruling. So similarly, Yudhishthira Maharaj started ruling. And other very important point, started ruling Ajit Ashraya. Yeah. Once again, he felt himself, or he took the shelter of Bhagavan Ajit, which is another name of Lord Shri Krishna. So under the shelter of Bhagavan Ajit, Yudhishthira Maharaj started ruling. He was following the instructions as they were given to him by Bhishma Pitama. He was following the instructions as they were given by Bhagavan Krishna, by Lord Shri Krishna. And then see what happens. As he was ruling, then Sut Goswami says in the next one, he says that Kamam Vavarsh Parajanya. Yeah. Sarva Kama Dugha Mahi. Yeah. So he says Kamam Vavarsh Parajanya. Parajanya means rain. So the rain will fall as it is required. There, as in like as per required. If the rain is required in certain part of the like fields, so the rain will fall there. Yeah. There won't be any flooding. Right? Everything was in balance. Kamam Vavarsh Parajanya. Yatha Kam Sarva Kam Dugha Mahi. Mahi as in earth. And earth was producing all the grains, all the vegetables, all the herbs, yeah, all the medicines. Yeah. earth was producing as it was required. The rain was falling as it was required. And then they says that Shishichu sma vrajan gava. The cows will moisten the fields. The grazing fields, the cows will moisten with the milk. Yeah. Shishichu sma vrajan gava. Yeah. And because they were feeling happy. Because they were feeling happy within their heart. Right? Because they were nicely cared. The cows were being cared. So they were giving so much milk. Their udders were full of milk. It says, Payas odhasvatir muda. Payas. So they were giving so much milk because they were happy. Once somebody asked Srila Prabhupada about eating the meat, and Prabhupada very nicely explained, and Prabhupada was telling them that, look, when you are eating meat, think of a cow. If you are approaching a cow, the cow can judge and cow can tell whether you are coming to feed her grass or whether you're coming to kill her. Yeah. If you're going to kill cow or any other animal for that matter, Prabhupada said they get fearful. They get fearful and their consciousness is fearful at that point of time. And when you kill them, they leave their body or the soul leaves the body in the state of fearfulness. And when someone eats that flesh, they are actually eating the fear because that consciousness is there. Yeah. And Prabhuji Mataji, the people, they are not able to see that. If they go in restaurant and all these places, they don't know. They don't know the state. But we have heard that, where the slaughterhouses and all, it is very bad. They're always living in the fear. They know somebody might come and kill them. How do you expect to give them the milk? At some farms, they have to milk the cows with the machines. Why do they have to milk with the machines? Because they are fearful. But here, in the kingdom of Yudhishthira Maharaj, yeah, Payas odhasvatir muda, because muda means happiness. Because they are so happy, automatically the milk starts flowing from their udders and they moisten the grazing fields. Yeah. Whereas because they are fearful, they have to use machines to milk the cows. Yeah, some people say because there is so much milk, with the hands they can't milk them, so they have to use the machines. But no, that's another factor, because they are fearful. So they kill them. They also forcibly take the milk out of them, as much as they can. So how do we expect that? But in Yudhishthira Maharaj's kingdom, they were so happy so that they would automatically moisture the field. And then Sut Goswami says, all the nadis, all the rivers, all the oceans, the mountains, the rivers, they will, and the word uses, they will pay their tax. Yeah. So very important. So how in today's environment, we are always looking for scheme to save tax, right? How to save tax, how not to pay tax. Because the residents have lost faith in the government, and the government is obviously, they have, whatever you want to call them. But that is the point. Everyone is just trying to save the tax. How to save the tax? But tax is required for running the state. So in Yudhishthira Maharaj's kingdom, what to speak of human beings? Even these natural, you can say as Sut Goswami is saying, the vegetation, the trees, the rivers, the oceans, the mountains, they were all paying their tax. And what that means is actually providing the things which are required by the residents of the city. So such was the wonderful ruling of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Yeah. And then he says, na adhayo vyadhaya kalesho, na adhayo vyadhaya kalesho bhut atma daiva bhut atma hetava. Yeah. There was no anxiety. Na adhayo, there was no anxiety in the residents of Hastinapur. Na vyadhaya, there was nobody getting sick. Nobody was getting sick or illness. Yeah. Kalesho, there were no klesh. Like there was no excessive cold. There was no excessive heat. There was no excessive rain. There was no tsunami. Nothing like that. Everything was in a perfect balance. Yeah. And that's why it says, Deva Bhut Atma Hetu. Three types of miseries. Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, and Adhyatmik. Adi Devik is due to the nature, due to the demigods, you can say. Yeah. And Adi Bhautik is from when one living entity is scared of another living entity. And Adhyatmik is your own body. Blood pressure, diabetes, etc. So many things. Depression, this, that, all those things. So all these three, they were not there. Why? Because Ajat Shatrava Abhavana. Ajat Shatrava Abhavana Jantu Nam Raki Karichit. Because Yudhishthira Maharaj, he did not have any enemy. Ajat Shatrava. Ajat matlab, Jat is in born. Ajat means not even born. Whose enemy is not born. He is called Ajat Shatru. Shatru is enemy. Ajat is not born. Whose enemy is not born. What to speak of having an enemy? So he did not have any enemy. And whoever were enemy, they were killed by. They were already killed in the Mahabharata. So because of that, because Yudhishthira Maharaj did not have any enemy, Ajat Shatrava Bhavan, Jantuna, the residents of Hastinapur, Karhichit, not any moment. They did not have any problem because such was the kingdom of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Yeah. So now let's look at further. There are two, looking at it in two contexts, and Prabhuji Mate, I want to draw your attention to this point. It is said that when Hiranyakashipu, we'll discuss in the 7th canto, when Hiranyakashipu was ruling, he was, the Mother Earth was producing all the grains out of fear. Everything was happening out of fear. The clouds will rain. The moment Hiranyakashipu look up in the sky, and if he's angrily thinking that rain is required, the rain will start coming. If he's angrily looking at earth, all the grains will out of season. There will be out of season fruits. There will be out of season rain. And what to speak of nature? Even Naradji will come to Hiranyakashipu's assembly, and on his veena, on his instrument, he will be playing for the pleasure of Hiranyakashipu. Even though he was a fool, he did not realize when Naradji is coming and playing, he is glorifying Supreme Lord. And that was helping Hiranyakashipu. Yeah. So such was the kingdom. So at that time also, Prabhuji Mataji, there was a lot of opulence. There was a lot of opulence. Mother Earth was giving everything. He go to the oceans, and ocean will give him all the gems. They will come out of fear. And here Yudhishthira Maharaj is ruling so nicely that everything will be coming. Now, if you look at in today's context, you can look at your own situation. I was reading, there was an article recently they were saying that the Australia's property market or the property wealth has grown multiple times. It's not about your individual houses. They were just adding, because there is data there. So in Australia, as many houses are there. So they were saying 40 years ago, let's say they had X number of houses, and their value or their worth was X number of $1 billion. After 20 years, number of houses increased, and the $1 billion value also increased. In current scenario, number of houses have increased, and the value, that wealth, so-called wealth, it has increased multifold. So in a way, if you look at it, the overall wealth of the country has increased. So there is that increase in the wealth, right? But the point is, na adhayo vyadhaya kalesho. But in Yudhishthira Maharaj's kingdom, there was no anxiety. There was no vyadhi. There was no illness. There was no klesh. But if you look at in this scenario, the wealth of the global wealth has increased. In so-called, mechanical terms, so-called industrial term, the global wealth has increased. But at the same time, Prabhuji Mataji, all these things, the anxiety, the illness, etc., it is also increasing. So what is the barometer? What scale do you want to compare? Now you look at your individual situations. All of us, we have come from some family background. Our family, you used to have one house and 10 people living. Now 10 people have their own houses. So the wealth of the family has increased. But what is missing? Right? What is missing is that anxiety is still there. Right? The disease is still there, and the kalesh are still there. Right? So now if you look at the real wealth, okay, so this is so-called material wealth. So what is the real wealth? Now look at the Pandavas, Yudhishthira Maharaj, right? They were taken away everything. They did not have anything. Everything was taken away, but they had the greatest wealth. And that greatest wealth was they had the protection of Lord Shri Krishna. They were very close to Lord Shri Krishna. Yeah? So that was their greatest wealth. So such was the kingdom of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Now just keep that in mind, that what is our greatest wealth. Now let's look at the future verses. And like I said in the beginning, our real wealth is to develop that connection or re-establish that lost connection with the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. That is our real wealth. You know, as it is also said in Shastra, Vipado neva vipada, sampado neva sampada. Vipada as in problems. The problems are not the problems. Sampada neva sampada, sampatti. The wealth is not the wealth. Then what is the problem and what is the wealth? So the problem is Vipado vismaran Vishnu. The problem is if you forget Vishnu. And the wealth is remembrance of Vishnu. So that is the real wealth. So in Yudhishthira Maharaj's kingdom, Prabhuji Mataji, as Shaunak Rishi asked, Yudhishthira Maharaj's kingdom, all the residents, they were living happily. They did not have any of these problems. It says karhichit, not any moment. They did not feel any problem at all. It wasn't like you feel some problem one day and then rest of the year all good. No, it was all good all year around. Everyone was happy. And the main underlying concept or the principle was because they were all living following the religious principles. So you can apply all of that in your personal circumstances also. Yeah, that is the point I want to say here. Now Lord Krishna stayed with them. Now we go to the next part, which is Lord Krishna is preparing for departure, which is the main topic of this chapter. But yeah, Shaunak Rishi asked this question first. Now it is said that Sud Goswami tells them that Lord Krishna stayed there for some time to pacify his daughter, his sister Subhadra, and other family members of Kaurav dynasty, and then he decided to leave. As he decided to leave, then he goes to Yudhishthira Maharaj and he asks for his permission. Amantraya is in he requested that please I may be allowed to leave. And then he requested permission, and then Yudhishthira Maharaj granted the permission. It is said that actually Lord Krishna went and he bowed down. He touched the feet of Yudhishthira Maharaj. So Lord Krishna, he will touch the feet of Yudhishthira Maharaj, and Yudhishthira Maharaj as an elder brother will bless him and will then embrace him. Lord Krishna will embrace Bhima and Arjun because they were of the same age. And Nakul and Sahadev, they will come and touch the feet of Lord Shri Krishna, and then Lord Shri Krishna will bless them. So Lord Shri Krishna maintained that kind of relationship with the Pandavas. So like this, he met all these family members. With elders, he touched their feet. With younger ones, he blessed them. And with the same age, he embraced them. And doing this, now Lord Krishna got onto the chariot. Yeah? As Lord Shri Krishna got onto the chariot, then it is said that suddenly all the family members, yeah, they started feeling great separation. They started feeling great anxiety. They started feeling great anxiety of separation from Lord Shri Krishna. And it says, Sud Goswami then tells them that Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Virat Tanaya Tatha, Gandhari, Dhrit Rashtrascha, Yuyutso, Gautamor Yamo, Vrikodarascha, Dhaumyascha, Istriya Matsaya Sutta Adaya. Subhadra, Draupadi, Kunti, Virat Tanaya, Virat is the daughter of Virat Naresh, who is Uttara. Yeah? And then Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, Yuyutsu. Yuyutsu, by the way, Yuyutsu is son of Dhritarashtra, not from Gandhari, from another wife. And Yuyutsu fought from the Pandava side. He was the one who was not in the favor of he did not support Duryodhana for his actions. So he fought from the side of, he took the side of Pandavas. So Yuyutsu was there. Yeah. Gautamo. Yeah. And then Yamo, which is Nakul and Sahdev. Yeah. Vrakodarascha, Bhim. Yeah. Dhammya Rishi was also part of their on the Pandava side. He was also providing them spiritual guidance. Yeah. And then all other ladies in the Kuru dynasty, and then Matsya Sutta are there. Who is Matsya Sutta? Mother Satyavati. So look, so many generations. Mother Satyavati, then Gandhari, Kunti, Draupadi, Subhadra, Uttara, yeah, Dhritarashtra, yeah, Kripacharya, and all the Pandavas and all other family members. And they could not, na sahire, yeah, na sahire vimuhuyanto virham. They could not bear the separation, and they got bewildered. They could not bear the separation from Sharang Dhanvana, Lord, Supreme Lord, who has Sharang Dhanush, yeah, who is holding the Sharang Dhanush, who is holding the Sharang bow. They could not bear the separation from that Supreme Lord, and they were all bewildered. Yeah. And then they were all bewildered. Now Sut Goswami gives an analogy that if you want to get an understanding how bewildered or the scale of their bewilderment, he says this Supreme Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, he is so attractive. He says, Satsang, from the good association. Yeah, from the Satsangan Mukt Duh Sango. If by the good association you have been detached from the bad association. Satsangan Mukta Du Sango Hatum Na Ut Sahate Buddha. Yeah. And then if you have got good association, and by good association you have become liberated from the bad association. Yeah. And just by listening. And he says just by Kriyamanam Yasho Yasya. Shruyamanam Yasho Yasya. Just by hearing his pastimes. Yeah, and at least once. Yeah, Sakrad Akarnaya Ruchanam. If somebody has listened to the pastimes of Supreme Kṛṣṇa just by once, they get so attached that Hatum Na Utsahate Buddha. They never attempt to leave that association even once. And that's what you all are doing, right? You are listening Krishna Katha. You somehow or other, you are attracted to Krishna Katha. And then he says, even once they have heard about the Krishna Katha, his glories, they don't even want to leave that. Then what to speak of Pandava? Tasmin Nyasta Dhya Partha. Yeah. Tasmin Nyasta Dhya Partha. Yeah. Katham Saharen Virham. Yeah. Who now Pandavas, he is calling them Partha. So Parth is called Arjun, but here he is addressing Partha because Mother Kunti's name was Pritha. So not Arjun is Partha, all her sons are called Partha. They are also Partha because they are Pritha's son. So all the Parthas, they're saying all the sons of Mother Kunti, how can they bear the separation? They were, because what they were doing, Darshan, Sparsh, Sanlap, Shayan, Asan, Bhojanai. Because they were taking his darshan, direct darshan. Here we're talking about somebody who has just heard the katha. By hearing the katha, they get so attracted. But here the Pandavas who were taking direct darshan of him, who were always sitting in front of him face to face. Sparsh, they were touching him. Yeah, Sanlap, they were talking with him, conversing with him face to face. Yeah, Asan, Shayan, they were sitting with him, like with his hand on his shoulders. Yeah, Shayan, it is said that, they were always sleeping, like, there was a long bed, or, a Kṛṣṇa and Arjun, and they were all like, so close, sitting together, sleeping together, taking prasadam together. How can they bear this separation? And that goes to the same point, Prabhuji Mataji. If we, to have the separation or to have that feeling of separation, first we have to connect ourselves. If you are not connected, then you won't feel the separation. I mean, look at Dashrath Maharaj. When Vishwamitra came to Dashrath Maharaj and he tells him that, please give me Lord Ram. Dashrath Maharaj first told him that I give you whatever you want. What brings you to my kingdom? And he gave that word to Vishwamitra. And then when Vishwamitra said, okay, please give me Lord Ram so that I can take him to the forest because those demons are harassing me. I want to take Lord Ram with me so that he can kill them. Then Dashrath Maharaj backed out. He backed out, and then Vasishji had to come in. And Vasishji had to convince Dashrath Maharaj, no, please give. This Lord Ram, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He has come here for a purpose. And then when Vasishji convinced Dashrath Maharaj, this time Dashrath Maharaj agreed. And he allowed Vishwamitra to take Lord Ram with him. But then when Mother Kekai asked for a boon, asked for her boons, and she said, send Ram to the forest for 14 years, Dashrath Maharaj left his body. Now the question comes, how many of us have developed that level of connection with the Supreme Lord? How will we feel the separation? To feel the separation, we first have to develop the love. And this is how Pandavas, because they were getting that association, because they went through all the tribulations, all the problems, but they never left. They were totally reliant on Lord Shri Krishna. So that bhav developed through that process. Right? For us, it is by listening the Krishna Katha. We are not so fortunate to get that association, but by hearing Krishna Katha, we will be able to develop that. Okay? So that's what Sut Goswami is telling them. Now Lord Krishna was about to leave. As now he is leaving from the city, now it says that all the residents of the city, they came out and they started playing various drums, various musical instruments. Right? Somebody was playing mridanga, somebody was playing dhol. So it was just to cheer him, yeah, just to make the environment auspicious. And then all the ladies of the city, the queens or the other royal ladies, they went on the rooftop. And it is said that they were about to cry, but they stopped their tears. They stopped the tears somehow because they felt if we cry, then it will be inauspicious for Shri Krishna. Once again, in this mood, what are they thinking? They are thinking of Krishna. They are not thinking of their own sentiments. This is how we develop that love and affection. Gopi Ganera Nahi. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj, that's what he's saying. Yeah. Gopi Ganera Nahi, Krishna Kam Sambandh. They don't have any personal motive to develop that connection, to develop that attachment to Krishna. Krishna Sukha Hetu Matra Krishna se Sambandh. So their sambandh, their relationship with Krishna is only for his pleasure, not for their own pleasure. So with that mood, these royal ladies and others, they did not cry at all. They stopped their tears, thinking that it could be inauspicious for the Supreme Lord. And as Supreme Lord, then his chariot was moving. As his chariot was moving, then it is said the Satyaki and Udhav, they started fanning. Krishna is sitting on the chariot, they started fanning. And then Arjun, Sitatta Patram, Arjun got a nice umbrella. You know, Arjun got a soothing umbrella. So he was holding that umbrella as Lord Krishna was sitting on the chariot, and Udhav and Satyaki. Udhav is the cousin of Lord Shri Krishna, and Satyaki is the charioteer. He is one of the closest associates, servant of Lord Shri Krishna. So they were taking him to Dvārakā. As the chariot started moving, then it is said that in the city, all the Brahmanas, they started chanting Vedic hymns. They were chanting Vedic hymns to bless Lord Shri Krishna. And then Sutaji says, Ashru Yant Ashisa. Yeah, Satyas Tatra Tatra Dvijayrita. Yeah, Nanu Rupa Anurupascha Nirgunasya Gunatman. So he says now all the Dvij, as in Brahmanas, they were chanting the Vedic hymns. They were chanting Vedic hymns to give benedictions to Lord Shri Krishna. Ashruyanta, wherever from a distance, the voices can be heard from a distance. Yeah, Ashisha, as in boons. So they were giving boons to Lord Shri Krishna, and they can be heard from a distance. But here Sut Goswami says, Nanurupa, Anurupascha. So they were giving these benedictions. They were not befitting for Lord Shri Krishna, but at the same time, they were also befitting for Lord Shri Krishna. The reason being, he says, Nirgunasya Gunatma. Because Supreme Lord, who is Nirgun, as in he is absolute. Because he is absolute, so for him, there is nothing inauspiciousness, there is nothing auspiciousness. For him, everything is same. Yeah. But because he has taken Gunatmana, because he has taken a form, he has appeared in this human form. Because of that human form, these benedictions are appropriate, yeah, befitting, but at the same time, they are not befitting. Right? So similar mood, you all have your deities at home. Right? You know, when we take Aarti, sometime when we take Aarti, you see some Matajis, what they are doing is, they do like this. They take Aarti and they do like this. So once again, the mood is the Supreme Lord whose Aarti has just been done. May he be, so this is for his protection. This is for his well-being. Even though he doesn't need that, right? When we take Aarti, it doesn't mean, you know, we get our list, my dear Lord, please get me a job, please fix my family problems, please do this, please do this. No, that's not the mood. So the mood is, may my Lord be always be, you know, may my Supreme Lord be always be good. You know, this is for his well-being. Even though you're just saying, but ultimately it's your well-being, but you are praying for him with that mood. That is why you take Aarti, that may my Lord. Mother Yashoda, she will perform Aarti because, you know, when there were so many demons were coming, so she got worried. She said, why these so many demons are coming to kill my Krishna? Even though he was Supreme Lord, but she out of love and care. Similarly, we take care of our deities. We perform Aarti. We look after, we serve them every day, right? And then you accept the remnants, what you have served them. So that is the mood, that is the point. So here all the Brahmanas, so they were reciting these Vedic hymns and they were glorifying Lord Shri Krishna. Yeah, and they were asking for boons through that, or, you know, giving benedictions to him. So Sut Goswami says it was befitting, and at the same time, it was not befitting. Now, another great, you know, thing happened while the Brahmanas were chanting. Now it is said that the ladies of Hastinapur, now they got onto the rooftops and they started conversing between themselves. Anyo anyam asid sanjalpa uttam shlok chetasam Kauravendra istrina sarva shruti manotra. Now all these ladies, they got onto the rooftop and they started anyo anyam. They started conversing among themselves. You know how we say prajalpa, but here it is sanjalpa. Anyo anyam asid sanjalpa, not prajalpa, sanjalpa. Sanjalpa is when they are discussing about Lord Shri Krishna. And they started talking among themselves. And now they are talking uttam shloka chetasam. So their chetana, their consciousness is fully immersed into the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, who is glorified with the best of the poems, right? With the best of the poetic words. So that's why he's called Uttam Shlok. And Kauravendrapur Istrina, the Istris of Kauravendrapuri, of the Hastinapur city, they started glorifying, and it is said that Sarva Shruti Manohar. What Brahmanas were saying, Brahmanas were chanting Vedic hymns, but now they're saying these ladies, what they were speaking about Lord Krishna was even more manohar, even more beautiful, even more attractive than what the Brahmanas were saying. Brahmanas were chanting Vedic hymns. Because now the difference is here, Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that all the purpose of Veda is to know him. But here, to know him, but here these ladies, and Prabhupada says in the purport, they weren't highly educated. They hadn't gone to any particular school, but out of because their Chaitana, their consciousness was fully immersed into Lord Shri Krishna, whatever they were speaking, it is so glorified. Yeah. Now please hear carefully. Now they started glorifying Lord Shri Krishna, and mind you, all these ladies, Prabhuji Mataji, a lot of them, they had lost their husbands, they had lost their children, they had lost their father, right? They all had lost almost all the male family members. As you know, in the Kurukshetra battle, so many male members were killed. So some of them were widows, some of them were fatherless, some of them were sonless. But still, they are offering these prayers and they are glorifying Lord Shri Krishna. Now, one lady is talking to another lady, and she is telling him, Savai Kilayam Purusha Puratano Ya Ek Asi Davishesha Atmani Agare Gunebhyo Jagadatmanishware Nimilit Atman Nishishukta Saktishu. Yeah. So this lady is speaking to another lady that Savai Kil Ayam. Oh my dear friend, this Supreme Lord. So they're looking at Supreme Lord who is walking, who's on the chariot now. So saying, this Supreme Lord, my dear friend, he is the original Purush. Right? Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami, as Brahmaji says. So they are telling each other that he is the original Purush. He is that first living entity. And what kind of first living entity? Then he says, then one is saying to other that Ya Ek Asi the Vishesa Atmani. He is the only one existed before everything else. Before everything else, even then, even what to speak of any material creation, even the guna, the mode, agre gunebhyo jagadatmanishwar. You know, the modes of material nature, they are the first. So through when the creation happens, and we will discuss it in the third canto, when the creation happens, first the Mahat Tattva. Mahat Tattva is all the ingredients, material ingredients. You can say all the material ingredients, they come, you know, from the body of Mahavishnu, right? And then through the disturbance of the three modes, Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun, mode of goodness, mode of ignorance, and mode of passion. Through the disturbance between these modes, Mataji, then that Mahat Tattva gets impregnated, and that's when the creation starts. So these ladies who haven't gone to any university, any school, they could realize that. And they are conversing among each other. And they are saying that he is the only one who existed even before the material mode of nature. And he is the Jagat Atma Ishvara. He is the soul of the universe, and he is the supreme controller of the universe. And then they also say that Nimilita is they merge, the living entities, they merge. Nimilita Atmana Nishi Shukta Shaktisu. When the annihilation happens. So there are two types of annihilations, Prabhuji Mata. One is when Brahmaji's day ends, which is 4.3 trillion solar years. We hardly live 60, 70 years. So here we're talking about 4.3 trillion years. Brahmaji's day, yeah, his 12-hour day is 4.3 trillion years, solar years. When that ends, then that annihilation happens. Then we all living entities, we enter into the Mahavishnus, yeah, who is sleeping. So we enter into that. Then another annihilation, when the Brahmaji's life ends after 100 years, that is the complete annihilation. Yeah, Brahmaji also mentions in Brahma Samhita, Yasek nishvasita kalamathavalambya jivanti loma vilaja jagadandanatha Vishnu mahan sa iha yasya kala vishesho Govindamadi Purusham. tamaham bhajami. So Brahmaji is saying that yasyek nishwas, by his one breath, when Mahavishnu, who is lying in the Karanodakshaya Vishnu, who is lying in the Karana ocean, by his one breath, he's taking one breath. So that is the life. So his one breath is the life of Jagdandanath, who is the Nath of this whole Jagdanda, right, of his whole universe, like Brahmaji and other lords of the universe, right? So that is their lifespan, which is one breath of Jivanti Loma Bilija, who is born out of the pores of Mahavishnu's body. So that universe, as he is breathing out, many universes, millions of universes are coming out. As he breathes in, the universe goes back inside his body. So through that process, we are living, and we are, we appear, we also, I mean, that we are also part of that, right? But Prabhupada clearly states that there are two types of living entities: Nitya Baddha and Nitya Mukta. Nitya Baddha, people like us who are conditioned. We are always going through this process of inhale, we go inside, exhale, we come out, and we just rot through this, this process of, life, death, disease, old age. We just rot through this process, the conditioned souls. Nitya Baddha and Nitya Mukta, they get to go back and get the association of Supreme Lord in Golok Vrindavan. They go and serve the Supreme Lord in that capacity. So this process is for Nitya Baddha. And in future shlokas, these ladies of Hastinapur, they will describe that process. But going back to the first shlok, so what they're saying is that, or let me just complete this verse, what Brahmaji is saying. So Brahmaji is saying that, that he himself is that Jagdandanath. He is the Lord of the universe, right? At the end of his life, this universe is going to go back into the body of Mahavishnu when he inhales. So that is the duration of his life, Brahmaji's life. So that Vishnu Mahan, so Mahavishnu, who is lying in the Karana ocean, he is what? He is an expansion of Supreme Lord Govinda. That's what Brahmaji is saying. Vishnu Mahan, Mahavishnu, Vishnu Mahan Sahi Yasya Kala Visheshu. Kala is an expansion of expansion. That Govinda Madi Purushan Tamam Bhajami. So these ladies of Hastinapur Prabhuji Mataji, they are so intelligent. They have so nicely understood the position of the Supreme Lord. This is what they are conversing among themselves. And that is why Sud Goswamiji is saying, Sarva Shruti Manohara. This is even so beautiful. This is so attractive, even hearing the Vedic hymns, because they are directly opening their heart and they are speaking, right? They are speaking from the heart, because their heart is their Chetana, their consciousness is immersed into that. So what they're saying is, Ni Milita Atmana Nishi, as in the night we sleep. So similarly, in that form, how you sleep in the night. Similarly, analogy they're saying is that at the time of annihilation, they merge back, Atman, they merge back into that Supreme Lord. He's that Supreme Lord. Sava ayam kila. Savai kil ayam purusha puratano. He is that Purusha. Then another friend is telling to other friend. Yeah? And what she's saying is, then she's saying to her, saying to other friend, she says that, my dear friend, this is that Supreme Lord, that Bhuyo, who again and again creates. Yeah? Again and again creates Nij Virya Chodita. Yeah. Sava Bhuyo Nij Virya Chodita. That Supreme Lord, he creates again and again by his internal potency. And what does he do? He says, Swajiv Mayam Prakritim Si Srikshatim. Now they're saying Swajiv, for his own people, because we are all his part and parcels. For us, because we desire to come. Now very often people ask, why are we here? Why do we land up here? Because we desire to be here, because we desire to enjoy in separation from Krishna. Now keep in mind, keep the context in mind, Prabhuji Mataji. These Matajis or who are reciting these glorification, they are all widows. They have all lost. So they are already into so much, you can say, detached state of mind. With that state of mind, they are glorifying Supreme Krishna. Yeah. So this is the greatest of philosophy that they have known, and they are saying. So they're saying this is that same Supreme Lord who creates this creation again and again for Swajiv Maya, with using his material energy for his own people, right? His own Jiva, Prakritim Srikshitam, to create this again and again. And what does he do to create this again and again? There says, Anam Roop Atmani Roop Namni. Anam Roop Atmani, the soul which doesn't have any name or form. Anam Roop Atmani, the soul which doesn't have any shape or form, any name or form, he still creates it to give it a Roop and Nam. Because for his own living entity, because of us, because we wanted to enjoy separate from him. He is that Supreme Lord who creates this again and again for these living entities, because they wanted to enjoy separate from him. He is that Supreme Lord. Then in the third prayer, another friend is telling to other friend that, my dear friend, he is that Sava Ayam. He is that Supreme Lord. Yad Atra Suryo, right? Suryo as in all the exalted devotees. And how exalted they are? Jitendriya, Nirjit Matashvina, right? Jitendriya, who have conquered their senses, right? Who have controlled their breath, who can control the life air, all those living entities, right? Who have controlled them. Pashyanti Bhakti Utkalita Amal Atmana, right? Who can see. He's that Supreme Lord who these Jitendriya, these greatest yogis who have won their senses, who have controlled their breath, right? And they can see him by doing what? By bhakti. Yeah. By performing the devotional service, they are able to see him. So he is that Supreme Lord that yogis always want to see. Right? And then another friend is telling to another friend, Sava ayam sa kyanugit satkatho Vedeshu guhyeshu cha guhyavadivi ya ek isha jagadatma leelaya srajati avatyati natatra sajjate. So another friend is telling to another friend that, my dear friend, he is that Supreme Lord. Oh, my dear friend, he is that Supreme Lord. Vedeshu guhyeshu cha guhyavadivi. In the Vedas, or in the who is secretly described in the Vedas. Guhya as in very secretly described, or which is not so easy to understand. Yeah, Guhyeshu, who is secretly talked about into the Vedas, right? Guhyeshu cha Guhyavadivi, and these yogis, they discuss about him when they are conversing about the Vedas. And my dear friend, he is the only controller who creates this universe. He is the only controller who creates this universe through his own Leela, through his own potency. But even after creating, he creates this Srajati Avati Atti. He creates, he maintains, and he annihilates. But he still doesn't get attached to this. He is still aloof from all of these things. Then another friend might ask, then when they were conversing, one friend asked, but then why does he appear? Then what is the purpose? See, now so far we have discussed four shlokas. So please remember. In the first one, they are saying that he is the original Purush. He is that original personality of Godhead. Then in the second one, they are saying he creates this. He's the one who creates this for the pleasure of living entities. Even those living entities, Atma doesn't have any roop, any form, or any name. But because they wanted it for their pleasure, he creates that. And then the third one, they're saying he is the one whom yogis, yogi nam yam prapashyanti. Gajendraji, when he's praying, so he is saying that yoginam, all the yogis who meditate on him, that's what they can see in their heart of heart. Yoginam yam prapashyanti. Yeah, they can see that he is that Supreme Lord. And then the fourth one is saying that in the Vedas, he is the one who is secretly described. And he is the one who creates, who maintains and annihilates, but he is still detached from all of this. But then why does he appear? So the fourth, when the one Sakhi asks, one friend asks, another friend says that yada hi dharme natamo dhiyo nripa jivanti tatre shahi satvatakil dhatte bhagam satyamritam dayam yasho. Yeah. So he says, yatha hi adharmen tamo dhiyo nripa. When the kings who are in the mode of ignorance, who are adharma, who are not following the religious principles, when the kings who are in the material, in the mode of ignorance, when they are not following the religious principles, jivanti, when they are living, Prabhupada translates, when they are living like animals, when they are living the life of animals, that's at that time, satvata, to protect his devotees, to look after his devotees. Yes, that at that time, dhatte bhagam, that Supreme Lord, he takes, yeah, dhatte bhagam, he takes different roop. He appears, and he appears with, to establish satya, the truthfulness, the ritam, the positiveness, daya, mercy, and yasho. He performs so many pastimes so that people can recite his glories by discussing those pastimes. They will be able to cross over this ocean. That's when Naradji told Vyasdevji that you write Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. In Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, describe the glories of the Supreme Lord. So that is the purpose. So three reasons, main reasons mentioned here is he appears here to annihilate the kings who are not following the religious principles, who are creating troubles for the sattvata, for the devotees. So he comes to protect his devotees. He comes to annihilate those kings, those miscreants, or to re-establish the dharma. That's how he appointed Yudhishthira Maharaj the king. Just recently he has done that. So they are very understanding, these ladies. They're not complaining. They're not complaining that he could have stopped the war. Kṛṣṇa could have stopped the war and my husband would not have died. Or my son would not have died. My father would have been alive if he had stopped the war. No. They are just falling into the plan of Kṛṣṇa. That is the main point. There is no complaining this. They're recognizing his position. Yeah. So they're saying that because when these kings who are ruling, who are living like animals, that's when this Supreme Lord, he comes and to re-establish. And then Bhavaya Rupani, he takes many different forms. Bhavaya Rupani Dadhad Yuge Yuge. Millennium after millennium, he appears and he takes different forms, and he comes through his through his incarnations to punish them, and that's why he comes. So now, so far they have understood the position. Now, from this point of view, Prabhuji Mataji, another important principle I want to highlight. So these ladies, before they go in describing, or before someone might say they are describing his glories, yes. But another key thing, what they are doing is they are first understanding his Aishwarya, his opulence, right? Let me give you an example. Once Srila Prabhupada was in India, in Chennai. So he was there at the family's house and they were serving Laddu Gopalji. Very nice family from, I think, state of Gujarat. They were there and they had Laddu Gopal deities at their house. And they were so emotional in their serving to Laddu Gopalji. One day they put black clothes on Laddu Gopal. And then Prabhupada asked, why have you put black clothes? And they said, he's giving so much effulgence. We don't want his effulgence to go out. Now, one day, Mataji was changing clothes for Laddu Gopalji. And Laddu Gopalji slipped out of her hand. Slipped out of her hand and fell on the floor. And then she picked him up and then she Rather than feeling any guilty feeling or any mistake, she was telling, she was telling Prabhupada that my Laddu Gopal is so naughty. He has slipped so many times out of my hand. See? So, yes, Prabhuji Mataji, you want to develop a personal relationship with Krishna, but at the same time, you want to understand his Aishwarya. You want to understand his position. Right? If Krishna allows you to develop that, so the point is, before you develop any madhurya, any vatsalya, any mood with him, we first have to understand his position. He is the Supreme Lord. We don't serve the Lord whimsically. Understand? So these ladies, they recognize his position, that he is the Supreme Lord. Right? We often start taking, even within our own on personal relations. If we get too friendly, we just start taking each other so easily. We forget the position of each other. Right? We have to maintain the decorum of the relationship. Otherwise, very soon we lose that taste. You or the relationship gets spoiled. So same principle. So these ladies, they are first understanding his position. Right? Or they could have just started singing his glories. They could have just, but no, they're saying he is the one. He is the Supreme from whom everything comes. Yeah, I hope you get the point. Yeah, we don't serve him whimsically. So now after having said this, now other Sakhi, now she starts saying, now they start glorifying the Yaduvansh. Yeah, so she says, Aho alam shla gyatamam yadokulam. Aho alam punyatamam madhorvanam. Yeah. Yad esh pumsam rishabha shripati. Yad esh pumsam rishabha shripati. Swajanmana. Yeah. So what they're saying is that, oh my dear Sakhi, aho alam, yeah, aho alam shlagya tamam yado kulam. That such is the glory of Yaduvansh, yeah, where this Supreme Lord has appeared. Yado shlagya tamam, tamam as in superlative sense. Yeah, such is the glory of Yaduvansh, where this Supreme Lord has appeared. And then they says, aho alam punyatamam madhorvanam. And that Mathura, that Vrindavan has become so important, punya, the most pious place, where Pumsam Rishbha, where is the best of these Purush, because he is the Adi Purush, where the best of the Purush, Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, who is Shripati, who is the goddess of Lakshmi's husband, who is all the opulence, Shripati. Yeah, so many Lakshmis, they are trying to serve Krishna. Brahmaji is saying, Lakshmi Sahastra Sambhramya Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamham Bhaja. Sahastra Lakshmi, thousands of Lakshmi who are trying to serve him. That Supreme Personality of Godhead who has appeared in the dynasty of Yaduvansh. So they are saying all glories to that Yaduvansh. So auspicious, so pious has become Mathura Nagri, Vrindavan, where Swajanmanam, by his appearance there, what he has done, he has crawled in that place. Yeah. Swajanmana, Chankramanen, Swajanmanam, Chankramanen, Chanchati. All glories to this place where his glorious crawling, that Supreme Lord, he has crawled in that land of Mathura by appearing in the Yaduvansh. Such is the glory of that Vansh. See, so much knowledge they have got and they are glorifying Krishna. And then they go to the next one. Then they're saying that Dvārakā Nagri, Aho Bata Swar, that heaven. So this Dvārakā Nagri, because Dvārakā Nagri had all the opulence. So what they're saying is that this Dvārakā Nagri has become so pious or the glories of his Dvārakā Nagari is so much more than the heavenly planets. Because in this Dvārakā Nagari, the residents of Dvārakā Nagari, they always get to see that Supreme Lord face to face. Or that Supreme Lord is seeing the residents of Dvārakā always face to face. So all glories to the city of Dvārakā, where this Lord, Supreme Lord, is now going. And then another friend tells to other friend that, my dear friend, what to speak of the residents of Dvārakā? What about the glories of all the wives of Krishna? Because the gopis, they could not get that kind of association. But here, such an intimate relationship, these wives of Lord Shri Krishna in Dvārakā, they have, what kind of piety they must have done. And they're saying they must have performed all the vrat, how women perform those vrats. So they're saying they must have performed all those vrat. They must perform all those yagna ceremonies. They must have taken bath in all those auspicious rivers, that they got such a great fortune. They are able to have that intimate relationship with Krishna as their wives. If gopis just hear about that relationship or hear about that, they will faint. But such is the glory of these wives of Krishna in Dvārakā, who have that intimate relationship. And then another Sakhi tells to other Sakhi, my dear Sakhi, my dear friend, what to speak of these wives? What about Rukmani and Jamvati? Rukmani, so she, yes. Other friend says, yes, Rukmani. What about Rukmani? And then she says, Rukmani is what that Lord Krishna went himself, and Hrata, he stole her away. So what is the glory of Rukmani, for whom Lord Krishna is going himself and steal her away? What is the glory of Rukmani? How glorious will that be? How glorious is Jamvati? Jamvati is daughter of Jamvan. Jamvan, who was also there in Treta Yuga with Lord Ram. Jamvan was also there in Satyug when Vaman Bhagwan appeared. So he has been there through all the millenniums. But he had a desire. He had a desire to fight with someone equal to him. When Bhagwan Vaman, when he put his foot on Bali's head, when he arrested Bali, it is said that Jamvan 7 times he did parikrama. He went around Bhagwan Vaman Dev. And going around him means going around the whole universe. Not just Lord, because he had taken over, he had put his foot, and he had already covered with his body the lower and upper planetary system. So he was so strong. In Treta Yuga also it is said that once he kicked Ravan and Ravan fainted. So there was no one equal to him to fight with him. So he told Lord Ram that I want to fight with someone who is equal to me. And Lord Ram said, your desire will be fulfilled in Dwapar Yuga. So in Dwapar Yuga, when Lord Krishna came, he was once in the forest, and that is a very famous pastime when the Syamantak Mani, so there was a gem, and it was stolen and it was left into the forest, and somehow Jamvan got that gem. When Lord Krishna went to get that gem, then Jamvan fought with Lord Krishna for about 27-28 days. He fought with Krishna for 27-28 days, and finally when Jamvan fell down, as he fell down, then he realized, oh, he is my Supreme Lord. And he realized his mistake. Oh, I fought with him for so many days. And then he realized his mistake and he started crying. He was crying, he realized his mistake, and then he asked for forgiveness from the Supreme Lord. He gave the gem to Supreme Lord, and he also offered his daughter Jamvati as wife to Lord Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. So that's what these ladies of Hastinapur are recalling, that what is the great fortune of those wives, and even greater fortune is of Rukmani, whom Lord Shri Krishna went and stole himself. Think of it, Lord Krishna is going to steal them, to accept them as their wife. Right? And then Jamvati, he himself fought for so many days to get him as a wife. So what to speak of their glories? And then they also mentioned their sons, Pradyumna and Sam. Pradyumna was first son of Rukmini. So with every wife, 16,108 wives, Lord Krishna, he spent time, he expanded himself, and such a nice arrangement. He expanded himself, and Krishna was there in every palace with each of the wife in his expansion. And with all of them, he had 10 sons and 1 daughter, with all of those wives. Yeah. But mind you, Lord Kṛṣṇa is Akhanda Brahmachari. My Guru Maharaj says he's Akhanda Brahmachari. Right? This is Lord's Maya. He can even by his vision, as he impregnates, Mother Earth, the Prakriti, right? He's Akhanda Brahmachari, right? He can just generate, by his vision, by his words, or in any way. So that these ladies are saying he is that Supreme Lord. And like this, they glorified. And then it is said that Lord Kṛṣṇa is still on his chariot, and he is hearing all those what they're talking. And then Sut Goswami says, Evam Vidha, like this. Yeah. Evam Vidha, like all of this glorification. Yeah. When Evam Vidha Sa Gira, as in by their words. Yeah. Evam Vidha Gadanti Nam Sa Gira. Yeah. Pur Yoshitam. Yoshitam means the women of Hastinapur. When they spoke like this, and the word used Sut Goswami is Gadantina. You must have heard the word Gadantina, Gad. Yeah, when we recite Shiksha Ashtakam, in that we say Ruddhaya. Yeah, Vadanam Gada Gada Ruddhaya Gira. So Gad, you understand, Prabhuji Mataji, when you are speaking something, you are very pleased, you are very fulfilled, you are very satisfied. And when you speak, it is out of pleasure, and the tears are about to come, and your throat is about to choke. That is the position. So that is why Sut Goswami is saying, Gadanti Nam. Evam Vidha Gadanti Nam Sa Gira Pur Yoshitam. And then after hearing this, then Lord Sri Krishna, what did he? Nirikshanen Abhinandan. Lord Kṛṣṇa then looked up. He looked up at all those ladies. Abhinandan, right? He accepted, he acknowledged what they were talking among themselves. Yeah. And after that, he says, then he left. Yayau Hari. And then he left for Dvārakā. Yeah. So this is very nice prayers, Prabhuji Mataji, or the glorification. And now important point, they were talking among themselves. But Lord Kṛṣṇa still accepted, he could still hear what they were talking. Yeah. And then as Lord Kṛṣṇa left, now Yudhishthira Maharaj, he says he arranged four type of you can say protection for Lord Kṛṣṇa. He sent charioteers, he sent the warriors on the horses, he sent the warriors on the elephant and the army. So 4 type of protection, again out of love. Lord Kṛṣṇa doesn't have any enemy. He sent along with Lord Shri Krishna. So they accompanied the chariot and they went through various provinces. And as Lord Kṛṣna was going through various provinces along the banks of the Yamuna river, and he says on the way to Dvārakā, Kṛṣna stopped in the evening, and wherever he stopped, the people living there, they came and offered him presentations, and they greeted him. Lord Kṛṣna also greeted them, and Lord Kṛṣna, wherever he stayed, Sut Goswami says he performed his evening rites, he performed his evening puja, right, evening sadhana wherever he stopped, because he has taken that human form. So he was performing. Lord Kṛṣna's deities, Prabhuji Mataji, Lord Kṛṣna he was also worshipping the deities, and they are in Guruvayur temple in Kerala. If you ever get to go there, please take the darshan. Yeah. And it is said that it was Hanumanji who carried the deities, Lord Kṛṣna's deities, when he was about to go back. Yeah, Kṛṣṇe Sadham Upagate Dharma Jnana Adibhisa, when he was going back to his own dham. So he was when he is here, he's performing all the activities. Yeah, to teach us Janma Karma Chame Divyam. Yeah, all that we have to do is to understand. If we can just understand, know that his activities are transcendental, are eternal, that itself will be good enough for us to be able to enter into the bhakti mood. There are various other ways also, but I'm just citing one example because Lord Kṛṣna says himself, Jan Karma Chame Divyam. Yeah, if you know that, then you don't have to take another birth. And like this Lord Krishna, then he is on his way to Dvārakā. He is passed through these various provinces. He stayed on the way, performed his evening pujas, and then he is about to enter into Dvārakā. So we will just conclude here. So I will just summarize what we discussed today, just so you can keep the context and for the future reference as well. So Shaunak Rishi asked from Sut Goswami that when Yudhishthira Maharaj became the king, how did he rule? And then we discuss about how Yudhishthira Maharaj ruled and what are the signs of his rule. We also looked at that there was opulence in the kingdom of Hiranyakashipu. There was opulence in the kingdom of Ravana also, right? And there is opulence in the kingdom of Yudhishthira Maharaj also. But here, in one position, they're getting opulence. Mother Earth is producing grains out of fear. But here, they are producing grains out of sheer happiness. Muda, because they are happy. The cows, they are giving milk. They are wetting, they are moistening the pasturing grounds with the milk. So there is so much milk. Then we also looked at how Pandavas felt separation from Lord Shri Krishna. And the analogy given is, if somebody even once hear akarnaya, sakrat akarnaya ruchanam, even once somebody hears the Hari Katha, or even once, if by chance, sakrat means just by chance, it doesn't mean, you specifically went, even if by just by coincidence, if you hear, then nobody will want to leave or seize that, or even make an attempt to leave that taste. So what to speak of Pandavas who were darshanam, sparsh, who were seeing him, who were touching him, who were talking with him, who were sleeping with him, who were sitting with him, who were taking prasad with him. How can they bear the separation from Shri Krishna? So, but the underlying factor I mentioned for that is, first, to feel the separation, we have to develop the relation. We have to have that attraction. If we don't have that, then we won't feel the separation. And then finally, we discuss about how these ladies of Hastinapur, and once again, think of their position. They have lost their husband, they have lost their parents, they have lost their sons, right? They literally have nowhere. If you look at it from a materialistic perspective, we'll say we have no shelter, because we don't have any husband, we don't have anyone or any children, but still they are talking such a high philosophy, right? And they are recognizing the supreme position of the Supreme Lord. Like I said, first we understand the Aishwarya before we enter into any Vatsalya, any Madhurya, Vatsalya, any of that. And that bhakti is not, or that relationship should not be whimsical. He is supreme. We should always remember that he is Supreme Lord. By his own mercy, he allows us to serve him. But let's not get whimsical, like I gave you that example. And you will hear many of you. I've seen some people, they say, I want to put on jeans. I want to put on jeans on my deities. I want to give my deities this dress. I mean, they're all kind of people, but the point is, we should understand he is supreme. So that relationship does not need to be whimsical. It has to be as per the Shastra. Yeah. In Naradji, in Narad Pancharatra says that if we are not performing devotional service as per the bhakti, as per the scriptures, then what it will lead to? It will lead to utpat eva kalpate. Utpat means it will end up in fighting. Yeah. Yeah. If we are not following the Vedic principles. So that's what is going to happen if we do any devotional service whimsically. Yeah. So these ladies, they recognize that, and then they are glorifying. Step by step, they are talking about how the creation happened, how the living entities are given name and form because they desired for that, right? So that brings in the detachment. Yeah, very important. And now finally, Prabhuji Mataji, you can also have this kind of conversation. You can also have this kind of conversation. And the reason I say that is, now think of it, when we go to attend the Jagannath Rath Yatra, what do we talk between ourselves? When we're going and attending an Abhishek, what kind of conversation we have? We have the Supreme Lord there. Yes, they had the great fortune to see the Lord in his Vapu form on the chariot. But when you see the Supreme Lord on the chariot, Jagannath Rath Yatra, can't we have this kind of conversation between ourselves? oh my dear friend, he's that Jagannath. He's the Lord of the universe. Can't we have that similar conversation? But instead, what we talk, oh Prabhu, you are looking very, very nice today. Oh, your clothes look very beautiful on you. You know, sometimes we coming to program and people ask, oh, what is the dress code? This is not a party. There is a simple dress code Prabhupada is giving to all of us. Wear a nice tilak, wear your kanti mala, have your chanting bead. You know, wear a normal dress. But nowadays people plan, oh, this is a program. Today, what color sarees are we going to wear? Or what kind of dresses are we going to wear? Then you're going to talk about that only. Right? If there is a Abhishek, if there is a Yatra, think of it as if this is Lord Jagannath who's come to your city. Learn from these, from these Matajis, from the ladies of Hastinapur, right? They are glorifying him. So this is how we glorify Prabhuji Mataji. So like I said, these sessions are not for academic purpose. These are for us to apply in our lives. Yeah. So with that, I will stop now. Yeah. And if anybody wants to say anything, share your realization or any questions, you may please start.